Welcome, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, to a brand new series on how to start a gaming channel on YouTube in 2015. Yes, it is a whole new year, in a sense, already gone nearly half, but nevertheless you guys have requested it, and there's also a lot of videos out there that I don't fully agree with what they tell you. I'm not saying they were wrong, but it depends on which scope you look at it, and I have another scope, so therefore I'm going to shed that scope because there's opinions, and opinions are opinions, so opinionate. And nevertheless, but this episode is indeed going to be about, if you've read the title, what I recommend as equipment to start up your YouTube channel. Now, there are many things you're going to need. For starters, recording devices. And for starters, yes, it's going to have to be in HD. If you go for a 480p capture card or whatever, it's not going to work very well. There are two roads to go down: consoles, which require capture cards, or you can possibly use the inbuilt PS4 recorder or whatever. I'm not too sure because I don't have a PS4 or an Xbox One, I have a PC. And, of course, PC recording, which you can use stuff like Fraps or NVIDIA Shadowplay. Now, I'm just going to quickly start on that. Fraps is good. Fraps is solid. It can record games pretty well. Although you do need quite a beefy computer to use it, because it does use a lot of memory and CPU whilst recording, which slows down your FPS. Not to mention it also does big files. However, it does record in good quality, and it doesn't need to have good audio quality. It works, and it does what it says on the tin. It's a basic video recorder. Now, there's also NVIDIA Shadowplay, which I would also recommend if you have an NVIDIA card, because it doesn't slow down on FPS, and it's also a fairly stable recorder, 60 FPS, 1080p, all that good stuff. Both can indeed do. And then we also have gaming on a console. How would I record on that? Well, you would need something called a capture card. Now, I'm well aware you can use these as well for a PC. Just depends what you want to do with that. But in terms of consoles, you will need a capture card or the inbuilt recordy thing. I'm not too sure how that works. But in terms of capture cards, you have many options. There's ones from Roxio, there's ones from Elgato, and there's ones from Hapag. There are also many others, but they're not too known, and I'll try and stay away from them if you can. I think there is one that has like an inbuilt SSD on it, which is pretty good. I'm not too sure though off the top of my head, but that's cool. So first off, we have the Elgato Game Catcher Pro, and there's also the Elgato Game Catcher HD. I'm not too sure, I don't really own one of these, but they are extremely good. I would probably recommend these, not from personal experience, but just from generalised features and usage of another capture card, because they're small and they don't use many wires, and they also come with an inbuilt recorder. They do good 1080p. Some of the new ones can even go up to 60 FPS with the new consoles and that kind of stuff. It's all good and golden. There's also, however, these are the most expensive, Hapag, however. They do a HD PVR2 game edition. I think there's one now called the Hapag HD PVR Rocket, or the Hapag Rocket, or I don't know what that was called. That was a brand new one. But basically, that's similar to the Elgato, just is a lot fatter, it's a lot chunkier, there's a lot more wires, and it's a little bit more difficult to use. It doesn't have as many, however, though it is a bit cheaper. And then there is the Roxio, which is a lot cheaper than them too. It does 1080p HD. I'm not sure whether they brought out a new one for the new consoles on this, and it's kind of basic. It's got Roxio editor in it, which is alright, not too brilliant, and it just has a few features on it, and it's basically just a cheap recorder, but it records in HD, and that's the most important thing. Now, I understand not a lot of people have a lot of money, so I'm not going to go too overboard on this kit list. I'm just going to kind of recommend the range, and then you can kind of choose depending on what you want. However, you do want a good, solid capture card, because you don't want one that's A, going to break, because you'll just have to buy another one, and B, you want one that's HD, because if you don't do HD, there's not much point doing YouTube, to be honest, because nobody's really going to watch. You have as much fun as you want, and I guess that's the whole point. But also, you kind of want to... The reason why you're putting it up on the internet and not just recording it and deleting it after for some fun is because you generally want people to see it. You want to share it with the world, and they probably won't see it if it's all pixelated. Now, second, we have microphone. There are many options you can do for this. There's stuff like Audio Technica's 2020. There is the Blue Yeti. There is the Blue Snowball. And there's even my option. Well, I don't personally use this, but I know someone called VWQ Gaming who has something like 6,000 to 7,000 subscribers. And he just uses his iPhone microphone. Now, I have a Motorola I'm not too sure what the hell it is. It's a Motorola phone, as far as I'm concerned. It's touchscreen, and I can voice record on that, and it's got pretty decent voice recording. So if you don't want to go out and buy a microphone, or you, trust me, don't use an inbuilt computer one, laptop one, because they are absolutely god-awful, just use that. Because, as I said, I'm trying to be resourceful here. I'm trying to give an option, an array of choices. Of course, it's not going to be the best quality, but it's going to be decent quality for, well, the money, which is practically free, because, I mean, you probably already got one there to use for other reasons. Now, as I said, there's also the options for a Blue Snowball. Blue Snowball is what I use, fairly cheap, fairly robust. However, though, they are a bit picky on the p, like them noises, the p, and the whatever, you know, the wind sounds that come from your mouth and the pops. They are quite picky up on that, so you might want a pop filter. You also might want to do what I do, which is just shove a towel over it. That actually, believe it or not, works. Because it's actually similar to a pop filter. It just kind of stops it using the fibres. I'm not too sure exactly how pop filters work. I know stuff about science, I just generally don't know the science of pop filters. And then, of course, there's Blue Yetis, which come with stuff over it. And then there's Audio Technica, similar stories with the Blue Snowballs. I guess you might want a pop filter for that. It really depends on how far you want to take it. Usually it's a hobby that you make it as expensive as you want it to be. Now, third, we have editing software. Editing software, you have a lot of choice. You have stuff like Sony Vegas, Final Cut Pro, Adobe After Effects, Adobe Premiere Pro, and they're all good. They're all really heavy editing softwares. However, they are going to cost a lot of money. Now, I'm not saying that you probably shouldn't use them, because if you do get the chance to use them or trial them, then I would recommend them doing it. However, though, you want to use what is going to be relevant to your videos. If you're going to do a whole lot of special effects and editing, like stuff like Frankie on PC does, then that's what you're going to want. You're going to want something like that. However, though, if you just want to do what a lot of people, like, I don't know, Vanos or whatever does, then you're just going to want something simple in which you can cut and edit, you can add voice, you can add music, whatever, that kind of stuff, whatever people are into. That's the kind of stuff you will want. Now, there's two options here, and they're actually three options for the basic ones, and that is Movie Maker. Yeah, fairly bog standard, but fairly powerful if you know how to use it, believe it or not. And then there's also one called VSDC, Free Video Editor, in which you can overlay, you can cut things. It's a little bit longer on the video editing times and the rendering times because it's a bit of a naffy program, because it's free. But nevertheless, it gets the job done. It's good. It can overlay, you can record, it can put game clips on, you can do funky transitions if you know how to set that up. Of course, it's not going to be as good as a proper video editing software, but that's the price you sometimes have to pay. Now, fourth is graphics. Graphics is something important which quite a few people leave out. Apart from my someone who I watched called VWQ as well, he actually included this in his, and I agree with this because it's something that people are going to see. It's going to determine whether they want to look at your channel, whether they're going to want to click on the thumbnail for your channel, whether they're going to click on the thumbnail for your video, whether your video has suitable graphics. Now, I don't use a lot of graphics in mine. It depends what kind of channel you are, depending on the graphics you will use. Some, if it's like a news channel or it's just generally like short little gameplays, they might do on-screen graphics. You might just do generally good channel art graphics. You might just do good intro, outro graphics. I'm currently working on an outro for mine, and there are many programs you can use for this. There is ones like GIMP, which is free. It's Graphical Image Manipulation Program, it stands for. And there's lots of stuff you can do. You can post images onto it, and then you don't even have to have backgrounds on it, so you can post transparent images, well, transparent background, just the alpha. And you can do all sorts of stuff. You can use the Magic Wand tool, which is used a lot in the Adobe programs. As I said, there are other reasonable equipment you can use. There are other video editing softwares you can use. But I would recommend going for it as cheap as you can to start with YouTube. Because the only problem is, if you spend a lot of money and then decide, it's not so much of what something I want to do, or you kind of get a bit, disheartened to do it, whatever, or, a bit dismotivated, then all of a sudden you might have bought all this wonderful equipment. It might have cost you a few £100 or whatever, or a few $100 or $1,000 or whatever. And the only problem is, you bought all that and then you don't use it because you don't want to do it anymore. So I'd recommend starting out as cheaply as you can, and then if you find it, then start upgrading it if you find it fun. And the same with graphics. Photoshop's not saying there aren't other ways to get these programs. But I personally wouldn't recommend that. I don't condone that, whatever. That's illegal, just to let you know. up to you whether you go do that. Proceed with your own caution. You can get caught, arrested, blah blah blah, fined megally. But they are fairly expensive, but they are professional programs. They're meant to be expensive for that reason, because they are properly professional programs. Now, on 6, we have sound recording. Now, this is something that's kind of a bit selective depending on which channel you are or what you want to do. If most likely you're someone who wants to use their audio inside of the game, over its live commentaries, then you won't be most likely using sound recording programs such as Audacity, which is free. Sound recording, I'm only going to recommend Audacity. It's free and it's all you're going to need. You can remove audio from the background. Heck, in some video editing programs, you can even actually just voice record itself. But you can remove background noise, you can add certain effects, you can manipulate the voice slightly. It's kind of just basic sound editing, sound recording equipment, which is really, really honestly useful. And it's something that if you want to do news, you want to do pre, after, or post gameplay commentaries, you can use it. And it will get the job done. Now lastly, I'm just going to do an others category. And the main reason why I have an others category is because there's stuff like headphones. And I've heard the amount of people who say that, have a look at this headset. No, you don't need your Astro thingies, whatever they're called, I don't know. You don't need your Turtle Beaches. You don't need anything like that. Simply, a set of headphones will do. If you have something like Beats, okay, fair enough, you can probably go and use them. But you don't need to go out and spend 500 quid on a pair of headphones. You don't need to spend 125 quid on a headset. Honestly, it's just not needed. Because, you've got your microphone for your audio. And for your playback channels on your audio, in other words, just what you're listening to, mine are 5 quid headphones. And honestly, they work brilliantly. Call me cheapskate, whatever. But they are comfy. They block out outside sound. I can hear the quality actually pretty decent. They're actually kind of in a way surround sound, because you can hear if someone's shooting to the right, then you hear the gunshots in the right ear and not left ear, so you can kind of tell. It's still pretty good. And the reason why I recommend headphones, and someone, as I've said previously, Frankie on PC in 1080p, when he had like 800k subscribers or whatever, he did kind of like I think it was around now anyway, it doesn't matter. But he did kind of like a vlog of his gaming setup, and loads of people were surprised. Because he only uses like a pair of cheap Samsung earbuds. Headbuds? Is that even a thing? I don't know. Earbud headphones, and he uses them, and he can just figure out where people are shooting in a game like DayZ just from using them. You don't need expensive headphones. It's just to block out the sound so you don't hear it in the background of your recording. If you've got playing out the back of your TV or the back of your monitor, the only problem with that is it's then going to get picked up by the microphone, and you're going to hear it twice. You're going to hear it slightly delayed or whatever, or you're just going to generally hear it twice, and it's just going to sound god awful. People aren't going to want to watch it because they're hearing the same audio twice, and one is considerably worse, the one in the microphone, than the one that they're actually just generally hearing, which is the alpha channel of the video, or whatever you call it, the actual video audio itself. And there are a few other programs. There's one like Heartbeat, which you can get for Chrome. It's a little application add-on, whatever you call it. And what this allows you to do is look at video tags and that kind of stuff. It allows you to look at channel stats. And by that, I mean literally, you'll go, I don't know, I'm going to use his channel again. Frankie, you go on his, he might tell you he gets something like, I don't know, 5 million views a month or whatever. It will tell you that. It will tell you how many views he gets a day, views a month, views a year, subs a day, subs a month, subs a year. And it's really useful because then you can use that to compare other channels, see how you're doing, and then you can also see what tags they use. And because tags is honestly the heart pretty much of how your videos get picked up on YouTube through the search engine. Certain tags will tweak up your video, and if there are no others really using them tags, then you can go to the top. But also similar tags, you can get ideas, and as I said, because they help to generate video views, if you look around someone who gets a lot of video views and their tags are very relevant to the video, and they're actually some tags you probably didn't think to enter, then you can actually use some of those tags in your video, as long as you're not typing in Frankie on PC 1080p on your video when you're not actually him. That doesn't really work, unfortunately. You can't type in PewDiePie and get 36 million views. That doesn't work like that. But that's for another video. because in the next video I will be doing tips on starting your YouTube channel, little things, networks, that kind of stuff that I recommend, and how I recommend doing videos. I will probably do one specifically on how I recommend to do a video. Now, as I said, this was recommended, so be sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this. Well, I should continue the series. I probably still will continue the series anyway, because I don't mind doing it. If it helps people, it helps people. That's good. So anyway, thank you for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy this. If you did, that's brilliant. And subscribe for more, all that brilliantly good golden stuff. Thank you so very much for watching, and cheerio.